Hong Kong is frequently described as overcrowded, yet the deeper issue is not simply the number of people. The true challenge lies in the imbalance between population and usable land. While the territory appears expansive on a map, the majority of it consists of steep mountains, protected country parks, reservoirs, and legally restricted zones. What remains available for urban development is surprisingly limited. As a result, millions of residents are concentrated into a narrow portion of land, creating one of the most compressed living environments on Earth. Because horizontal expansion is nearly impossible, the city has been forced to grow vertically. Residential towers rise tightly together, forming walls of concrete and glass that define the skyline. In Hong Kong, land is no longer just property, it is the ultimate currency. Every square meter carries extraordinary value. Housing size, transportation systems, public behavior, and even interpersonal distance are shaped by this constant spatial pressure. The city is extraordinarily efficient, yet that efficiency exists alongside a subtle sense of confinement. To understand Hong Kong is to understand how humans adapt when space becomes the rarest resource. Navigating the city's transportation system reveals how design solves density. Millions move through the metro network daily, and hesitation would quickly cause chaos. Instead of relying purely on written instructions, the system uses strong color distinctions to guide movement. Train lines, exits, corridors, and signs communicate visually before a single word is read. Colors function as a universal language, allowing people of different backgrounds, ages, and languages to respond almost automatically. In an environment where seconds matter, eliminating confusion improves the flow for everyone. The brilliance of the system lies not in decoration, but in its ability to manage complexity through simplicity. When the workday stretches late into the evening, the city's rhythm shifts rather than slows. Nightlife becomes an extension of professional life. Women are highly visible in restaurants, streets, and entertainment districts, reflecting a culture shaped by long hours and high expectations. The evening is not rebellion against social norms, but a practical response to demanding schedules. A relatively safe urban environment allows freedom of movement without constant judgment. The night offers a temporary release, a chance to socialize, relax, and regain emotional balance. In a city that rarely pauses, darkness does not signal rest, but transformation. Space scarcity becomes even more evident when considering something as simple as parking. In Hong Kong, a single parking space can cost amounts comparable to property elsewhere in the world. This is not irrational, it reflects the economics of extreme land value. Dedicating land to store a private vehicle means sacrificing space that could generate housing or commercial income. Cars have never been central to the city's structure, public transportation is. When a parking spot becomes a high-value asset, it reveals a deeper truth: the ground beneath everything is more valuable than the objects placed upon it. Perhaps nowhere is the pressure of real estate more visible than in coffin homes. These subdivided living units represent the outer limit of affordability. They are not expressions of minimalist lifestyle or cultural preference, but survival strategies for those excluded from the mainstream housing market. As property prices climb beyond average wages, living space contracts to its absolute minimum. Rooms become so narrow that movement is restricted. Privacy disappears. Physical compression begins to affect psychological well-being. Coffin homes are not merely about size, they reflect a system where property functions more as an investment vehicle than as shelter. They stand as evidence of what happens when land becomes financialized beyond accessibility. Despite the futuristic skyline and global financial image, tradition continues to shape everyday life. Modernity has not erased heritage. Instead, both layers coexist. During the day, residents operate within one of the world's most competitive economic environments. Yet at home, they maintain rituals, ancestral practices, and cultural customs that stretch back generations. Tradition serves as an anchor in a city defined by rapid change. It offers stability and identity in an environment where competition and speed dominate public life. This coexistence of old and new creates a social balance that allows adaptation without complete cultural erosion. Hong Kong's culinary culture reflects the same dynamic. Food is designed for efficiency without sacrificing depth. Dishes are often compact, served quickly, and consumed in small dining spaces. Communal tables and counter seating are common, not as trends, but as spatial necessities. Yet flavor remains layered and carefully preserved. Cantonese foundations blend with colonial history and international influence, forming a cuisine that mirrors the city itself, adaptive, compressed, and resilient. Meals are not prolonged indulgences, they are moments of refueling within a continuous urban current. Even in death, adaptation to limited land is required. Traditional burial space is scarce and expensive. As a result, cremation has become the dominant practice, not solely for spiritual reasons but due to practical constraints. Vertical columbarium buildings rise along hillsides, housing thousands of urns stacked floor upon floor. These structures resemble residential towers, reflecting how even remembrance must conform to spatial efficiency. Waiting lists for public niches can stretch for years, while private options command significant prices. Yet rituals, incense offerings, and ancestral respect remain intact. Form changes, but meaning persists. The former Kai Tak Airport once embodied the extreme consequences of spatial limitation. Located within the dense urban core, surrounded by mountains and water, its runway extended into the harbor. Pilots approaching the airport descended low over apartment buildings before executing a sharp turn moments before landing. Crosswinds and unpredictable weather left almost no margin for error. For decades, it handled millions of passengers, becoming both a symbol of skill and a source of global fascination. Eventually, expansion pressures and safety considerations forced relocation. Its closure marked the end of an era defined by operating at the edge of possibility. For many newcomers, the greatest shock is not density but cost. Hong Kong consistently ranks among the most expensive cities in the world. Housing consumes a substantial portion of income. Small apartments in central districts command extraordinary rents, while property ownership remains unattainable for much of the population. Daily expenses accumulate quickly, especially for imported goods. Public transportation remains relatively affordable, providing a necessary counterbalance. Yet even with disciplined spending, maintaining a modest lifestyle requires significant financial endurance. Opportunity exists, but it demands sacrifice. Cultural beliefs quietly influence architecture and economics. The number 4 is widely avoided because its pronunciation resembles the word for death in Cantonese. Entire floors may disappear from elevator panels. Building numbers, license plates, and phone numbers are carefully selected to avoid negative associations. Meanwhile, numbers linked to prosperity are highly valued. These preferences directly affect property pricing. What might seem like superstition becomes integrated into financial logic, blending tradition with modern market forces. Amid towering steel and glass structures, bamboo scaffolding continues to surround construction sites. Though it appears traditional, it remains functionally superior in many ways. Bamboo is lightweight, flexible, and capable of withstanding strong winds. During typhoon season, it bends rather than breaks. Skilled workers assemble intricate frameworks using nylon ties, allowing faster installation and removal than metal alternatives. In a city where time equals money and space is restricted, efficiency determines survival. Bamboo scaffolding persists not out of nostalgia, but because it works. Remarkably, despite its intensity and limited living space, Hong Kong maintains one of the highest life expectancies globally. Longevity here results from a combination of accessible healthcare, dietary habits, and daily movement. Meals emphasize fresh ingredients and moderation. Walking is integrated into everyday routines due to terrain and transport design. Elderly residents remain active, gathering in parks for exercise and social interaction. High pressure does not necessarily prevent long life when balanced by structure and discipline. Contrary to its dense urban image, approximately 40% of Hong Kong's territory is preserved as country parks and protected land. Mountain trails, forests, beaches, and reservoirs exist within short distance of the financial center. This deliberate conservation strategy creates environmental balance. Green areas regulate climate, protect biodiversity, and provide psychological relief from urban compression. Preserving such space in one of the world's most valuable property markets represents a long-term strategic choice rather than coincidence. The Port of Hong Kong once stood as one of the busiest in the world, serving as a crucial gateway between China and international markets. Although regional competition has shifted global rankings, operational efficiency remains strong. Rapid cargo handling, digital logistics systems, and specialized maritime services sustain its relevance. Instead of competing purely on scale, the port has focused on quality, innovation, and integration with advanced technologies. It continues to function as a bridge between East and West, adapting to changing economic landscapes. Beneath the skyline, statistics, and global reputation, Hong Kong represents a test of human resilience within spatial limits. Buildings rise because expansion outward is impossible. Living spaces shrink because demand surpasses supply. Traditions endure because identity provides stability amid pressure. The city is efficient, relentless, and uncompromising. It offers immense opportunity while demanding constant adaptation. The question it quietly poses is simple: if placed within such constraints, could you adjust, endure, and ultimately call it home?